6 police officers stood at my door. Their faces were stone. Their badges caught the hallway light. Behind them, the morning stretched cold and gray through the apartment corridor windows. Callan Mercer? I nodded. My coffee cup was still warm in my hand. We need to ask you some questions about financial misconduct allegations filed against you. The words hung there, heavy and sharp. Financial misconduct.
Me.
The one who'd been funding my family's lifestyle for years while they siphoned off my inheritance like thieves in the night. I almost laughed. But let me back up because you need to understand how I got here. How a quiet Christmas Eve dinner turned into the beginning of a war I never asked for, but was damn well going to finish. It started 1 week before Christmas. Mom called. Her voice had that sugary tone she used when she wanted something or was about to lie. Usually both. Callan, darling, we're keeping Christmas simple this year. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. Simple. That word should have been a red flag the size of Texas. Nothing in the Mercer household was ever simple. Every dinner was a performance. Every holiday was a competition. And every single time, my younger brother Kieran walked away with a trophy while I got a pat on the head and a bill to pay. Kieran and his fiancée are coming, Mom continued. We all agreed, no lavish gifts. No need to spend more than necessary. I said okay. I said sure. I said whatever you think is best, Mom. But deep down, I knew. Like rain is coming when the sky turns that particular shade of green. Something was off. Christmas Eve arrived with snow dusting the Mercer estate like powdered sugar on a poisoned cake. The house smelled like pine and roasted turkey, all tradition and warmth on the surface. Underneath, it was the same old game. I walked into the living room. The tree sparkled. Gold and silver ornaments caught the firelight. And there was Kieran, my golden child brother, dressed in a designer sweater that probably cost more than most people's rent. Callan. He hugged me like we were best friends. Like he hadn't borrowed $5,000 from me last month and never mentioned paying it back. You didn't bring anything, right? No, I said carefully. We agreed. No lavish gifts. His smirk told me everything I needed to know. Dinner was the usual show. Dad bragged about his golf game. Mom gushed over Kieran's every word like he was delivering the Sermon on the Mount. I sat there, chewing turkey that tasted like cardboard, feeling invisible. Then Kieran reached under the tree. My stomach dropped. He pulled out a box. Then another. Then another. A brand new iPhone. Top of the line. Oh wow, Mom. You shouldn't have. Mom beamed. You've had such a busy year, sweetheart. You deserve it. Next came a designer handbag. I recognized it immediately because I'd looked at it months ago for myself before deciding $7,900 was insane to spend on a bag. Kieran held it up like he'd won an Oscar. Dad clapped. Mom's eyes sparkled with pride. I felt something crack inside my chest. Then came the jewelry. A whole set, glittering under the chandelier like a mockery of everything they'd told me. Everything they'd promised. You're overreacting. Mom's voice cut through my silence like a knife. It's just Christmas, Callan. Don't be such a sourpuss. I looked at her. Really looked at her. At the woman who'd raised me to be useful, not loved. To provide, not expect. To disappear quietly while the favorite child took everything. I stood up. My chair scraped against the hardwood. Merry Christmas, I said. My voice was calm, steady, cold as the snow outside. I walked out. No yelling. No scene. No drama. Just me, leaving behind the lights and laughter and lies. When I got home to my apartment, the silence wrapped around me like a blanket. I sat at my desk, opened my laptop, and started typing. Cancel subscription. Revoke access. Remove authorized user. And automatic payment. Every financial connection I'd ever created with my family, I severed. One by one. Click by click. The shared streaming accounts. The credit cards with their names on them. The memberships I'd been paying for. The insurance policies. Everything.
My phone stayed silent that night.
Peaceful. But when I woke up the next morning and checked it, my screen was flooded. 69 missed calls. 69. Messages poured in like a dam had broken. Callan, what did you do? The card isn't working. Call me back now. I set my phone down, made coffee, watched the snow fall outside my window. And for the first time in my life, I felt something close to free. They'd spent years taking from me, using me, treating me like an ATM with a heartbeat. Now, they were about to learn what happens when the ATM shuts down. I took a sip of coffee, staring at the mountain of panicked messages on my screen, and thought about what came next. About the lawyer I was going to call. About the documents I'd need to gather. About the inheritance paperwork I'd seen once, but never really looked at closely. My phone buzzed. Another call. This time from a number I didn't recognize. I stared at it, watching it ring. Something told me answering that call was going to change everything. What would you do if your family betrayed you on Christmas? Would you walk away quietly, or would you fight back? I wasn't always invisible. There was a time when I thought I mattered, when I believed being the older brother meant something in the Mercer family. That memory feels like looking at someone else's life now, faded and distant like an old photograph left in the sun. I was 8 when Kieran was born. I remember standing beside Mom's hospital bed, staring at this tiny red-faced thing wrapped in blue blankets. Dad's hand was on my shoulder, heavy and warm. You're going to be a big brother now, Callan. That means you take care of him. I nodded, so eager to please. So stupid. The first few years were normal enough. Kieran was just a baby, then a toddler. But somewhere around the time he turned 5, things shifted. It was subtle at first, like watching ice form on a pond. One day the water's clear. The next, there's a thin layer you can almost see through. Then suddenly it's thick enough to walk on, and you can't remember when exactly it happened. Kieran learned early that tears got him what he wanted. A scraped knee became a medical emergency. A denied cookie became a meltdown that shook the house. And Mom and Dad? They bent like trees in a hurricane. I watched him work them like a puppet master. Smile here, cry there, say the right words at the right time. By the time he was 10, he'd perfected it into an art form. I was 15, the first time I heard what they really thought of me. It was late. I'd come downstairs for water and heard voices in Dad's study. The door was cracked open just enough. Mom and Dad sat in the leather chairs, drinks in hand, talking in low voices. Callan's grades are excellent again, Dad said. Straight A's. Top of his class. I felt a flutter of hope. Maybe this time. Maybe finally. Mom sighed. He's dependable. Steady. But Callan lacks Kieran's spark, Victor. Kieran has charisma. People are drawn to him. Kieran's failing math, Dad pointed out. Grades aren't everything. Kieran is our future. He'll charm his way through life, make connections, build something beautiful. Callan is just. She paused, searching for words. Temporary support. Someone who'll be there to help when things get tough. That's his value. Temporary support. Those words burned themselves into my brain like a brand. I stood there in the dark hallway, water forgotten, feeling something die inside my chest. I went back to bed. Said nothing. Did nothing. Just filed it away with all the other small cuts they'd given me over the years. High school graduation came. I'd earned a full scholarship to a top university. My parents attended the ceremony, clapped politely, then spent the entire celebration dinner talking about Kieran's upcoming school play. When I graduated college with honors, they couldn't make it. Dad had a golf tournament. Mom was helping Kieran move into his first apartment, the one I was co-signing for, because his credit was garbage. I paid for their anniversary trip to Europe. Kieran got the thank you speech at their party. I covered the down payment on Kieran's car when his business venture collapsed. He never paid me back. Never even acknowledged it. Every birthday, every achievement, every moment that should have been mine got swallowed by Kieran's black hole of need and their endless willingness to feed it. And I let it happen, year after year. Because somewhere deep down, I still believed that if I just did enough, gave enough, proved my worth enough, they'd finally see me. But that night, Sitting at my laptop canceling their access to everything I'd built, I realized something. Mom had been right about one thing. I was temporary support, but temporary means it ends. And I was done. My phone buzzed with another message. Mom this time. Callan, this isn't funny. Whatever you're doing, stop it right now. I deleted it without responding. Then came a text from Kieran. Dude, seriously? You're acting like a child. We can talk about this. Delete. Dad tried next. Son, let's be reasonable. We can discuss this like adults. Where was that reasonableness when they were lying to me about Christmas? When they were showering Kieran with thousands in gifts while I sat there like a fool? Delete. 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 The unknown number called again. This time I answered. Mr. Mercer? A woman's voice. Professional. Clipped. This is Detective Sarah Chun with the Financial Crimes Unit. We need to speak with you about a welfare complaint filed by your parents. Have you ever discovered your family saw you as nothing more than a resource? Drop a comment below. The morning after I cut them off, hell arrived in my family's inbox. I didn't witness it firsthand, but I heard about it later. Every glorious detail. Kieran's credit card declined at brunch with his fiancée and her parents. Mom's hairdresser appointment canceled when her card bounced. Dad's golf club membership suspended for non-payment. The house of cards I'd been holding up for years collapsed in less than 24 hours. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. I'd turned off notifications, but the screen still lit up constantly, a strobe light of panic and rage. Message after message rolled in. Callan, the Netflix isn't working. My card was declined at Nordstrom. Fix this. You need to call the country club immediately. This is embarrassing. Embarrassing. That word stuck with me. They weren't sorry. Weren't apologetic. They were embarrassed. Humiliated that their cash cow had finally walked away from the barn. I made breakfast. Scrambled eggs, toast, coffee. Took my time with it. Let the messages pile up like snow in a blizzard. The 69 missed calls became 80. Then 90. Then I stopped counting. Around noon, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw Kieran standing there, face red, chest heaving like he'd run up all 4 flights of stairs. Knowing him, he probably had. The elevator required a key card he no longer had access to. I didn't open the door. Callan, he pounded on the wood. I know you're in there. Open up. I sipped my coffee, watching him through the peephole like he was a show on TV. This is insane. You can't just cut us off like this. We're family. Family. The word they hid behind every time they needed something from me. The shield they raised whenever I dared to question why everything was so one-sided. Fine, Kieran shouted. Be a petty little bitch. But you're gonna regret this. He kicked my door. Actually kicked it. Left a scuff mark on the wood. Then he stormed off, probably to call Mom and report that I was being unreasonable. I ordered lunch. Thai food. Extra spicy. Watched a movie. Did some work. Lived my life exactly as I pleased for the first time in years. That evening, Dad called from his personal cell. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Callan. His voice was tight. Controlled. The tone he used in business meetings when things weren't going his way. What exactly are you trying to accomplish here? I'm not trying to accomplish anything, I said calmly. I'm just done. Done. Done being used. Done being ignored. Done funding a lifestyle for people who see me as an ATM. Silence. Long enough that I checked to see if he'd hung up. You're overreacting to Christmas, he finally said. Your mother and I wanted to give Kieran a nice holiday. He's been through a lot this year. He's been through a lot? My voice stayed level, but something cold crept into it. What exactly has Kieran been through, Dad? Besides spending money he didn't earn and living off money I provided. We'll replace whatever you spent on us. Just restore the accounts. No. Callan. I said no. I hung up, blocked his number, then blocked Mom's, then Kieran's. The silence that followed was beautiful, but it didn't last. Around 9 p.m., my phone rang again. That same unknown number from earlier. I answered. Mr. Mercer, this is Detective Chun. We spoke briefly before. I need you to come to the station tomorrow morning at 10 to answer some questions about the financial welfare complaint your parents filed. Financial welfare complaint. They're claiming you've stolen from them and are withholding money that legally belongs to them. They've provided documentation. I almost laughed. Actually, almost laughed right there on the phone with the detective. Documentation. I repeated. Yes, sir. Bank statements, loan agreements, signed contracts. They're quite detailed. My blood went cold. Loan agreements? Contracts? I'd never signed anything like that. Every cent I'd given them was a gift, freely offered by an idiot who thought he was helping family. Unless. I'll be there at 10, I said slowly. And, detective? I'll be bringing my own documentation. That would be wise, Mr. Mercer. She hung up. I sat there in my apartment, coffee long gone cold, and realized what they'd done. They hadn't just used me. They'd been preparing for this. Building a paper trail that made me look like the villain. Like I'd somehow stolen from them instead of the other way around. I pulled out my laptop and started digging through every financial record I had. Every transaction. Every transfer. Every gift I'd stupidly made without requiring proof that it was a gift and not a loan. And that's when I saw it. Buried in an old folder of family documents I'd been given access to years ago when Dad said it was for emergency planning. A transfer document. My signature at the bottom. Moving a significant portion of my inheritance into a trust for family expenses. Except I'd never signed it. The signature looked like mine. Close enough that most people wouldn't question it. But I knew my own handwriting. Knew the way I crossed my T's, the slight hook in my Y's. This wasn't my signature. It was a forgery. When did you realize someone you trusted had been lying to you all along? Let us know in the comments. The police station smelled like coffee and disinfectant. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, washing everything in that special shade of institutional white that makes everyone look guilty. Detective Chun met me in the lobby. She was shorter than I expected, with sharp eyes that missed nothing and a handshake that felt like a test I couldn't afford to fail. Mr. Mercer, thank you for coming in. I followed her down a corridor lined with closed doors and into a small interview room. Gray walls, metal table, 2 chairs. The kind of room designed to make you uncomfortable. Before we begin, she said, pulling out a folder, I want to clarify that you're not under arrest. This is just a preliminary interview regarding your parents' complaint. What exactly are they claiming? She opened the folder. Inside were photocopies of documents I recognized and some I didn't. According to Helena and Victor Mercer, you've been managing family finances for the past 7 years. They claim you've systematically withdrawn funds, canceled insurance policies, and locked them out of accounts containing money they say is legally theirs. She slid several papers across the table. Loan agreements. Dated and signed. Each one showing me borrowing money from my parents with payment terms I'd supposedly agreed to. Except I'd never borrowed a dime from them. It had always been the other way around. These aren't real, I said flatly. They have your signature. They have a signature. Not mine. Detective Chun leaned back, studying me. That's a serious accusation, Mr. Mercer. Not as serious as forgery. I opened my own folder. Inside were bank statements showing every transfer I'd ever made to my family. Every bill I'd paid. Every subscription I'd funded. Organized chronologically, highlighted, annotated with dates and purposes. I've never borrowed money from my parents, I said, sliding the papers across to her. I've only ever given it. These loan documents are fabricated. She picked up my statements, eyes scanning quickly. Professional. Thorough. This is extensive, she said quietly. 7 years of being an ATM tends to create a paper trail. Your parents claim these transfers were loans you're now refusing to repay. My parents are lying. The words hung in the air between us. Bold. Unfiltered.
True.
Detective Chun set down the papers. Mr. Mercer, I'm going to be straight with you. This complaint felt off from the moment it came across my desk. Parents don't usually file financial welfare complaints against their children unless something unusual is happening. Unusual like cutting off their free ride? Unusual like having something to hide. She tapped the folder. With your permission, I'd like to look deeper into your family's financial records. All of them, not just what they've shown me. My heart rate picked up. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that people who forge loan documents usually aren't doing it for the first time. They're covering something bigger. The inheritance transfer flashed through my mind. The forged signature. The trust that had stolen my money. There's more, I said slowly. Documents I found last night. Transfers I never authorized. My signature forged on inheritance paperwork. Detective Chen's expression shifted. No longer just professionally interested. Now, actively engaged. Do you have these documents with you? I pulled out copies I'd made that morning. Laid them on the table between us. She studied them in silence. 1 page.
2.
3. Her jaw tightened with each one. Mr. Mercer, what I'm looking at here appears to be estate fraud. Identity theft. Possibly wire fraud if these transfers cross state lines. She looked up at me. This goes way beyond a family dispute. What happens now?
Now.
She gathered the papers into a neat stack. Now I recommend you hire a lawyer. A good one. Because if what you're showing me is real, your family hasn't just been using you. She paused, choosing her words carefully. They've been systematically stealing from you. And based on the sophistication of these forgeries, they've probably been planning it for years. The room felt colder suddenly. Smaller. How much? I asked. How much did they take? Detective Chen pulled out a calculator, cross-referencing my documents with the transfer shown. Her finger stopped on a number. My vision blurred. Roughly $240,000, she said quietly. Maybe more once we dig deeper. $250,000.
Gone.
Stolen by the people who were supposed to love me. There's something else you should know, Detective Chen said, closing the folder. Your parents didn't come here alone when they filed this complaint. They brought a lawyer with them. A very expensive one. Why does that matter? Because people don't hire expensive lawyers for simple family disputes. They hire them when they know they've done something wrong and are trying to get ahead of it. She stood, extending her hand. Get yourself an attorney, Mr. Mercer. Check your records for everything. And I mean everything. If they forged these documents, there are probably others. I shook her hand, mind racing. Detective? The welfare complaint. Am I being charged with anything? She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Based on what you've shown me today?
No.
In fact, I'd say your parents just made a very stupid mistake. What mistake? They filed a false police report to cover up their own crimes. That's going to cost them more than money when this is all over. I walked out of that station into cold winter sunlight. The city moved around me, people rushing to work, cars honking, life continuing as if my world hadn't just tilted sideways. $250,000. Years of forgery. A family that had weaponized the law against me while stealing everything I'd earned. I pulled out my phone and searched for lawyers. Estate law.
Fraud.
Criminal defense. Found one with perfect reviews and an office downtown. Marcellus Crane. Former prosecutor turned defense attorney. Reputation for being ruthless. I called. Got his secretary. Explained briefly. Mr. Crane can see you this afternoon at 3, she said. Bring everything you have. I hung up and stood there on the sidewalk, watching people pass. For years I'd been the ghost in my family. The invisible support system they took for granted. Now I was about to become their worst nightmare. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. We know what you're doing. Stop now or you'll regret it. Have you ever had to choose between family loyalty and self-preservation? Tell us your story. Marcellus Crane's office sat on the 42nd floor of a downtown skyscraper. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, making everything below look small and manageable. Toys on a board. I wish my problems felt that small. His secretary showed me into a conference room with a table that could seat 12. Crane himself appeared moments later, a man in his 50s with silver hair and eyes that evaluated me like I was a chess problem he was already solving. Mr. Mercer. His handshake was brief, professional. I understand you have a family matter that requires immediate attention. I spread my documents across his expensive table. bank statements, forged contracts, transfer records. The inheritance theft detective Chun had helped me identify. Crane didn't speak while he read, just picked up each page, studied it with the focus of a surgeon examining x-rays, then moved to the next. His face revealed nothing. 20 minutes passed in silence. Finally, he set down the last page and looked at me. Mr. Mercer, what you've brought me is evidence of systematic estate fraud, identity theft, wire fraud, and conspiracy. If prosecuted, your parents and brother could face significant prison time. The words hit like physical blows. Prison. My family. No matter how much they'd hurt me, hearing it stated so plainly made my stomach turn. What are my options? Crane leaned back in his leather chair. You have 3 choices. 1, walk away.
Pretend none of this happened.
Let them keep what they've stolen. Not happening. 2, pursue civil action. Sue for recovery of funds plus damages. Lengthy process, but less nuclear than option 3. Which is criminal prosecution. We file charges, cooperate with the detective already investigating, and let the system handle it. Your family would likely be arrested, tried, and if convicted, imprisoned. The room felt too quiet.
Too still.
Through the windows, I could see planes leaving trails across the sky, people living normal lives where their families didn't forge documents and steal their futures. There's something you need to understand, Crane continued. The moment you retained me and walked into that police station, you started a process that's very difficult to stop. Your family knows they're exposed now. That text you received? That's panic talking. He pulled out his phone, showed me something on the screen. I did some preliminary research while you were in the lobby. Your brother, Kieran? He posted this 2 hours ago.
It was an Instagram story.
Kieran standing in front of a mirror, designer clothes, perfect hair, with text overlaid. Family drama is so exhausting. Some people are never satisfied no matter what you do for them. I felt rage bubble up hot and immediate. He was playing victim, making me look like the villain to his thousands of followers. Let him talk, Crane said, noting my expression. Social media posts become evidence in court. He's building our case for us. What do you recommend? Crane steepled his fingers, thinking. Honestly, I recommend we go nuclear. Here's why. Your parents didn't just steal from you once. They built an infrastructure to do it repeatedly. The forged signatures, the fake loan documents, the fabricated paper trail. This took planning, coordination, time. He pulled out one specific document. The inheritance transfer. Your father notarized this forgery. That means he used his official notary stamp to legitimize a crime. That's not just fraud, Mr. Mercer. That's a betrayal of public trust. He'll lose his notary commission, at minimum. Potentially face additional charges. Good, I said. The word came out harder than I intended. Crane smiled slightly. There's anger there. Use it. But don't let it cloud your judgment. If we move forward with prosecution, your family will fight back. They'll hire lawyers. They'll paint you as vindictive, ungrateful, mentally unstable. They'll drag your name through every court and media outlet they can access. I don't care.
You say that now.
But character assassination is brutal. Are you prepared for your mother to testify that you've always been troubled? For your brother to sob on a witness stand about how you abandoned the family? For your father to claim you're lying to steal his money? I thought about Christmas Eve. About watching Kieran open gift after gift while Mom sneered at me for being a sourpuss. About the 69 missed calls demanding I restore their access to my money. About the forged signatures and stolen inheritance. I'm prepared, I said. Crane studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Then we proceed. I'll need you to sign a retainer agreement. My fee is $500 an hour, with an initial retainer of $25,000. Given the complexity and expected duration, total costs could reach 6 figures. 6 figures. More money gone. But what choice did I have? I signed. Excellent, Crane said, sliding the agreement into his folder. First up, we file an injunction freezing all family assets pending investigation. We claim it's to preserve evidence and prevent further theft. What it actually does is cut off their access to everything, just like they're experiencing with your personal accounts. How fast can that happen? If I file today, judge could rule by Monday. Your family wakes up Tuesday morning completely locked out. The thought gave me a dark satisfaction I wasn't proud of. Do it. Crane made notes on a legal pad. Second, we respond to their false police report by providing Detective Chen with everything we have. Let her build the criminal case while we handle civil recovery. And third, he looked up, eyes sharp. Third, you prepare for war. Because that's what this becomes the moment I file these papers. Your family will realize they're not just losing access to your money. They're losing everything. My phone buzzed. Mom this time, calling from a number I hadn't blocked yet. I declined the call. One more thing, Crane said. I need you to document everything. Every conversation, every text, every interaction with your family from this point forward. If they threaten you, I need records. If they try to manipulate you, I need proof.
Can you do that?
Yes.
Good.
Because if we're going to dismantle your family's financial empire and hold them accountable for years of fraud, we need to be perfect. One mistake, one emotional outburst, one piece of missing evidence could undermine everything. He stood, extending his hand again. Welcome to the fight, Mr. Mercer. I'll have preliminary filings ready by end of day. I shook his hand and left, riding the elevator down 42 floors in silence. The city sprawled around me when I stepped outside, cold wind biting through my coat. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Mom's new number. Callan, we need to talk. This has gone far enough. Whatever you think we've done, you're wrong. Come home, and we'll sort it out as a family. As a family. They still thought they could manipulate me. Still believed I'd fold. I typed a response. See you in court. Sent it. Blocked the number. Then my phone rang one more time. An unknown number, but somehow I knew who it was before I answered. Mr. Mercer, Detective Chen said. We need to talk. Something came up in your family's financial records. Something big. My heart started racing. What kind of something? The kind you need to see in person. Can you come back to the station?
Now.
I looked up at the skyscraper behind me, at Crane's office 42 floors up, and then at my reflection in the glass doors. The courthouse was quieter than I expected. Monday, 9 a.m., Judge Martha Reeves presiding. My family sat 3 rows back with their high-priced lawyer, Patterson, glaring daggers at me. Hatred.
Panic.
Disbelief that I'd actually done it. Crane stood beside me. Your Honor, we request a full freeze of the Mercer family's assets pending investigation into fraud and identity theft. Judge Reeves nodded. I've reviewed the documentation. The signatures on these transfer forms are concerning. She turned to Patterson. Until they're verified, I'm granting the injunction. Just like that, it was done. Behind me, Mom gasped, then broke into sobs. Kieran shouted until bailiffs moved toward him. Judge Reeves ignored them all. As of now, all Mercer assets are frozen. Basic living expenses only, under supervision. Next hearing in 2 weeks. When court adjourned, I stood to leave. Callan, Mom cried. You can't do this. We're your family. She looked small, frightened. Dad's jaw was steel. Kieran's confidence cracked. You'll regret this, Dad hissed. I know exactly what I've started, I said. Justice. Outside, the cold air hit like freedom. Crane warned, they'll fight back hard. Expect ugly. He was right. By Tuesday, my phone blew up with messages, strangers and family friends accusing me of betraying my parents. Your mother's heartbroken. You're mentally ill. Kieran says you're jealous. I blocked them all. Then came Kieran's video. 3 minutes of lies and crocodile tears. My brother Callan has always struggled with jealousy and mental health issues, he said, voice trembling for the camera. He's using the legal system to destroy us. It went viral, 10,000 views in hours. Stay strong, Kieran. Praying for your family. I called Crane, furious. Let him talk, he said. He's digging his own grave. Save every word. It's defamation and proof of manipulation. That night I lay awake, replaying everything. Had they ever loved me, or just used me as backup? My phone buzzed at 2 a.m., a voicemail from Mom. Her voice was cold, venomous. If you don't stop this, we will destroy you. We have friends in places you can't imagine. This is your last warning. A threat. No apology, no regret. I sent it to Crane immediately. Perfect, he texted back. That's witness intimidation. I'll file charges in the morning. By Wednesday, a process server appeared. My family was suing me for defamation, emotional distress, demanding $500,000. Projection in legal form. Crane barely blinked. Desperation move. Will counterclaim for malicious prosecution. Then Detective Chin called. The document analysis is complete. The signatures were forged. We're moving forward with arrests within 48 hours. My breath caught. Arrested. My family. Also, Chin added, we found additional fraud, 10 years worth. They siphoned nearly $400,000 from your accounts. 400,000. 10 years. Every lie, every missing dollar, finally laid bare. Friday morning, the news broke. Breaking, 3 members of a prominent family arrested for fraud and identity theft. The screen showed my parents being led out of their house in handcuffs. Mom crying. Dad expressionless. Then Kieran, surrounded by reporters, disheveled and furious. Helena, Victor, and Kieran Mercer are accused of forging legal documents to steal hundreds of thousands from a family member, the anchor said. My phone lit up again, but now with apologies. I saw the news. I'm so sorry. We didn't know. Even Kieran's friends reached out. He lied to everyone. I turned it off. Sat in silence. No triumph. No gloating. Just emptiness. Justice wasn't always loud. Sometimes it looked like this, the quiet aftermath of truth finally catching up to the lies. Have you ever watched karma catch up to someone who hurt you? Tell us in the comments. The police station felt different this time, calmer, less confrontational. Detective Chin sat across from me, 2 thick folders in front of her. Your father's trying to cut a deal, she said. He's offered to testify against your mother and brother in exchange for reduced charges. Of course he had. Classic Victor Mercer, save himself first always. He claims your mother orchestrated everything, Chin continued. That she learned to forge your signature and pressured him to notarize the fraudulent documents. Is that true? Partially, she said, opening one of the folders. Your mother forged the signatures, confirmed by handwriting analysis. But your father wasn't innocent. He notarized the fakes, profited from them, and even helped hide the money. She slid several documents toward me, bank statements, wire transfers, offshore records. He also gave us these. Accounts and assets we hadn't found yet. They were supposed to be yours. How much? I asked, voice unsteady. Roughly $673,000. The number punched the air out of me. I gripped the table, dizzy. 10 years of theft. $600,000. All while I'd been paying their bills, covering their debts, believing their lies. What about Kieran? Chin opened the second folder. He's 24, claims ignorance. Says your parents told him the gifts and money were theirs to give. We're charging him as an accessory, but his attorney's already negotiating a plea deal. Of course he was. Then Chun hesitated. A first for her. Your father's journal changes everything. Journal. He documented everything. Every forgery, every transfer, every manipulation. He called it his insurance policy. Apparently, your parents' marriage has been sustained by mutual blackmail. He had dirt on her. She had dirt on him. She handed me a photocopy of one entry. My 18th birthday. My father's handwriting. Helena insists we move forward with the plan. Callan is too trusting to notice. He'll fund our retirement without question. If he ever finds out, we'll paint him as unstable. Make him the villain. Kieran will back our story. The golden child always does. My hands shook as I read. They'd planned it all. Before I was even an adult. Not out of desperation but design. Calculated theft. Systematic betrayal. There's more, Chen said. Later entries detail how they'd isolate you, turn extended family against you, even fabricate evidence of mental illness if necessary. Your father documented everything. I swallowed hard. Why? Control. Leverage. Insurance. She closed the folder. It proves premeditation, conspiracy, intent. With this, your father's testimony seals the case. He wants 5 years instead of 20, I said flatly. That's the offer. Talk to Crane, but letting him testify might be your best move. It's an airtight case now. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Callan, it's Kieran. We need to talk. Just you and me. No lawyers. There are things you don't know. Meet me at Miller's Coffee in 1 hour.
Please.
I showed Chun. She frowned. If you go wired. Record everything. He might confess, or manipulate you. Either way, we'll have it on tape. She handed me a tiny recording device. Clip it to your coat. It'll pick up everything. If anything feels wrong, leave immediately and call me. I agreed. Miller's Coffee was only 2 blocks away, public, busy, safe enough. I arrived early, coffee in hand, back to the wall.
Kieran walked in right on time.
Disheveled. Exhausted. The golden boy stripped of his polish. Callan, he said quietly. Thanks for coming. I didn't answer. I don't know where to start. Try the truth. He winced. The truth is complicated. The truth is, you all stole from me for a decade. I didn't know. His voice cracked, drawing stares. He lowered it. I swear, I didn't know about the forged documents. They told me the money was theirs. And you never asked? I didn't want to ask. Finally, honesty. Why am I here, Kieran? Because Dad's turning on everyone. He's saying I knew everything, that I helped plan it, but I didn't. I was stupid, spoiled, but not criminal. His eyes glistened.
Please.
I'm your brother. That has to mean something. It did, I said, until you let them bleed me dry. I'm sorry. The words hung there, small, hollow, too late. Then he leaned closer. There's something else. Something in Dad's journal. Something he never told Mom. Never told anyone. I waited. You're not actually. The door slammed open. 2 men in suits strode in, Patterson and another lawyer. Mr. Mercer, Patterson snapped. This meeting is over. My client invokes his right to counsel. Kieran's eyes went wide. Wait, I need to tell him. Now, Kieran. They pulled him up and out. He looked back once, lips forming words I couldn't hear. And then he was gone. I sat there, recording still running, heart pounding. You're not actually what? What truth was he about to drop before they silenced him? What secret has been buried even deeper than fraud and betrayal? What do you think Kieran was about to reveal? Drop your theories below. The weeks that followed felt like watching a slow-motion collision. Brutal, inevitable, impossible to stop. Crane worked tirelessly while the prosecution strengthened their case, and my family tore through lawyers as their empire of lies collapsed. Somehow, I stayed calm through it all. Ate, slept, even worked. For the first time in years, I could breathe. But one phrase replayed in my head like a ghost. You're not actually. I told myself it couldn't mean what I feared. The inheritance was proven to be mine. The birth certificates were clear. I was their son. Wasn't I? Crane called one morning. Court dates in 2 weeks, he said. They're moving fast thanks to your father's cooperation. You'll likely testify. Your mother's attorney will go after your mental health, your motives. Can you handle that? I can handle it, I said. Then he added, Kieran's lawyers reached out. He wants to testify against your parents. In exchange for immunity. Says he has information that will strengthen the case. The thing from the coffee shop. The words he never finished. I thought of him at 8 years old, of the baby brother I once protected, and the man who'd helped drain me dry. But when I remembered the look on his face that day, hollow, desperate, I said, yes. But I want to hear what he knows first. 2 days later, we met in a conference room. Prosecutor Torres led the session, her tone sharp, professional. Kieran Mercer, you're offering testimony in exchange for full immunity. Before we agree, we need to know what you have. Kieran looked directly at me. The truth, he said. All of it. He began unraveling a nightmare that reached far beyond anything I'd imagined. Mom and Dad's crimes didn't start 10 years ago, he said. They've been conning people for nearly 30 years. Insurance fraud, fake investments, forged property sales, professional scammers hiding behind respectability. The Mercer fortune never existed. It's all debt and stolen money. The room spun. You knew this. I found out 2 years ago. There's a second journal, the real one, the one Dad didn't give to police. It details everything. Torres's voice sharpened. Where is it?
Hidden.
I'll retrieve it. Full immunity and you get the journal and my testimony. Torres turned to me. Mr. Mercer, this is your case. Do we proceed? I barely heard her. My mind was locked on the last thing Kieran said at that cafe. You were going to tell me something? I interrupted. About me not actually being something. What did you mean? Kieran hesitated, eyes softening. You're not their biological son, he said finally. You're adopted. They took you in when you were 2 days old, an arrangement with a family friend who couldn't keep you. But they forged every document. It was never legal. The words didn't register. That's not possible. I heard Mom say it once, Kieran said quietly. They took you because you'd be useful, to build credit, to carry blame. Her exact words were, we raised Callan to be useful. That's his purpose. My breath caught. The floor might as well have opened beneath me. I have proof, Kieran added. The journal. Your real birth certificate. The names of your biological parents. Torres's voice softened. Mr. Mercer, are you all right? Does this change the case? I managed. Legally, she said. It makes it worse for them. Premeditated. You weren't just a victim of fraud. You were raised to be one. It strengthens everything. I stared at Kieran, at the pity in his eyes, and felt something harden inside me. Then use it, I said coldly. Use everything. Burn it all down. He flinched. Callan. Don't. I cut him off. You want immunity?
Fine.
But don't call me your brother. I was never part of that family. I was their tool. You were the son they wanted. I left. Didn't look back. Hours later, I found myself in the park where Mom used to bring me as a child. I'd once believed those were happy memories. Now they felt like someone else's movie, scenes from a life that never truly belonged to me. Crane called again. They seized the real journal, he said. It's worse than we thought. Dozens of victims, decades of crimes. You weren't their only mark, just the longest-running one. They'll be in prison for at least 20 years.
Justice, he called it.
The words sounded hollow. Then his tone changed. There's something else in the journal. Information about your biological parents. They're alive, Callan. In Oregon. They never meant to give you up. Helena and Victor lied. Took you before the adoption was finalized. Your real parents searched for you for years. Tears burned, but didn't fall. They want to meet you, Crane said gently. They thought you were dead. I need time, I whispered. Take all you need, he said. You're free now. From them, from the lies. You get to decide who Callan Mercer becomes next. I sat there as snow began to fall, watching the light fade over a city that suddenly felt open, fragile but full of possibility.
My phone buzzed again.
Unknown number. Against instinct, I answered. Mr. Mercer? A trembling voice said. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I think I might be your mother. Have you ever uncovered something that shattered or rebuilt your entire understanding of your past? Share your story in the comments. The weeks that followed felt like watching a slow-motion collision. Brutal, inevitable, impossible to stop. Crane worked tirelessly while the prosecution strengthened their case, and my family tore through lawyers as their empire of lies collapsed. Somehow, I stayed calm through it all. Ate, slept, even worked. For the first time in years, I could breathe. But one phrase replayed in my head like a ghost. You're not actually. I told myself it couldn't mean what I feared. The inheritance was proven to be mine. The birth certificates were clear. I was their son, wasn't I? Crane called one morning. Court dates in 2 weeks, he said. They're moving fast thanks to your father's cooperation. You'll likely testify. Your mother's attorney will go after your mental health, your motives. Can you handle that? I can handle it, I said. Then he added, Kieran's lawyers reached out. He wants to testify against your parents. In exchange for immunity. Says he has information that will strengthen the case. The thing from the coffee shop. The words he never finished. I thought of him at 8 years old, of the baby brother I once protected, and the man who'd helped drain me dry. But when I remembered the look on his face that day, hollow, desperate, I said, yes. But I want to hear what he knows first. 2 days later, we met in a conference room. Prosecutor Torres led the session, her tone sharp, professional. Kieran Mercer, you're offering testimony in exchange for full immunity. Before we agree, we need to know what you have. Kieran looked directly at me. The truth, he said. All of it. He began unraveling a nightmare that reached far beyond anything I'd imagined. Mom and Dad's crimes didn't start 10 years ago, he said. They've been conning people for nearly 30 years. Insurance fraud, fake investments, forged property sales, professional scammers hiding behind respectability. The Mercer fortune never existed. It's all debt and stolen money. The room spun. You knew this. I found out 2 years ago. There's a second journal, the real one, the one Dad didn't give to police. It details everything. Torres's voice sharpened. Where is it?
Hidden.
I'll retrieve it. Full immunity and you get the journal and my testimony. Torres turned to me. Mr. Mercer, this is your case. Do we proceed? I barely heard her. My mind was locked on the last thing Kieran said at that cafe. You were going to tell me something? I interrupted. About me not actually being something. What did you mean? Kieran hesitated, eyes softening. You're not their biological son, he said finally. You're adopted. They took you in when you were 2 days old, an arrangement with a family friend who couldn't keep you. But they forged every document. It was never legal. The words didn't register. That's not possible. I heard Mom say it once, Kieran said quietly. They took you because you'd be useful, to build credit, to carry blame. Her exact words were, we raised Callan to be useful. That's his purpose. My breath caught. The floor might as well have opened beneath me. I have proof, Kieran added. The journal. Your real birth certificate. The names of your biological parents. Torres's voice softened. Mr. Mercer, are you all right? Does this change the case? I managed. Legally, she said. It makes it worse for them. Premeditated. You weren't just a victim of fraud. You were raised to be one. It strengthens everything. I stared at Kieran, at the pity in his eyes, and felt something harden inside me. Then use it, I said coldly. Use everything. Burn it all down. He flinched. Callan. Don't. I cut him off. You want immunity?
Fine.
But don't call me your brother. I was never part of that family. I was their tool. You were the son they wanted. I left. Didn't look back. Hours later, I found myself in the park where Mom used to bring me as a child. I'd once believed those were happy memories. Now they felt like someone else's movie, scenes from a life that never truly belonged to me. Crane called again. They seized the real journal, he said. It's worse than we thought. Dozens of victims, decades of crimes. You weren't their only mark, just the longest-running one. They'll be in prison for at least 20 years.
Justice, he called it.
The words sounded hollow. Then his tone changed. There's something else in the journal. Information about your biological parents. They're alive, Callan. In Oregon. They never meant to give you up. Helena and Victor lied. Took you before the adoption was finalized. Your real parents searched for you for years. Tears burned, but didn't fall. They want to meet you, Crane said gently. They thought you were dead. I need time, I whispered. Take all you need, he said. You're free now. From them, from the lies. You get to decide who Callan Mercer becomes next. I sat there as snow began to fall, watching the light fade over a city that suddenly felt open, fragile but full of possibility.
My phone buzzed again.
Unknown number. Against instinct, I answered. Mr. Mercer? A trembling voice said. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I think I might be your mother. Have you ever uncovered something that shattered or rebuilt your entire understanding of your past? Share your story in the comments. Sentencing day came 2 weeks later. Judge Reeves regarded Helena and Victor Mercer with the kind of disgust that only pure cruelty could earn. What this court has found, she said, is not just financial crime. It is the systematic, premeditated abuse of a child acquired specifically for exploitation. Mom sobbed. Dad stared at his hands. Helena Mercer, for fraud, forgery, and attempted framing, you are sentenced to 22 years in federal prison. She collapsed. Victor Mercer, despite cooperation, you enabled this for decades. You're sentenced to 15 years. Both were ordered to pay full restitution, $673,000 plus interest and legal fees. The gavel fell. It was done. Outside, reporters shouted. I ignored them. Crane walked beside me. You did it. Restitution, prison, everything. What about Kieran? He honors his immunity deal, testifies in 2 more cases, then starts over somewhere new. Good, I said and meant it. That night, I sat staring at a plane ticket to Oregon. Sarah and David Mitchell, my biological parents, had invited me to visit. No pressure.
Just a chance.
I'd said yes. Flight left tomorrow. Then the phone rang.
Kieran.
I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, he said quietly. I'm sorry. For all of it. I was blind and complicit. I stayed silent. I'm leaving tomorrow. Starting over. But there's more you should know about your biological family. You have a sister, Emma, 2 years younger. She grew up knowing about you. A sister. A real family. Why tell me this now? I asked. Because you deserved better. And maybe one day you'll see I was a victim too, just a different kind. He hung up. I sat there, stunned. Real parents. A sister. A family built on love, not manipulation. The next morning, I flew to Portland. A modest house. Blue door. Garden gnomes. A world away from the Mercer estate. When the door opened, the woman who stood there had my eyes. Tears fell freely. Callan, she whispered. Oh my God. She hugged me, and I let her. David appeared behind her, crying. Our son. We never stopped looking. Inside, photos covered every surface. Me as a baby, a girl growing up in my place, a family that never gave up hope. This is Emma, Sarah said, gesturing to the young woman beside her. Hi, she said softly. I've been waiting to meet you my whole life. We talked for hours. They told me everything, how the Mercers had lied, vanished before the adoption was final, and how Sarah and David searched for years without giving up. We thought of you every day, David said. Wondered if you were happy, if you were safe. I didn't know you existed until 2 weeks ago. But you do now, Sarah said, squeezing my hand. And we're never letting go. That night, Emma and I sat under the stars. This is weird, right? She laughed. Extremely, I said. But good weird.
Yeah.
Good weird. I stayed a week, met relatives, saw baby videos, built something real for the first time. When I got home, a letter waited in my mailbox. Victor's handwriting. Callan, it began, I don't deserve forgiveness. But know that despite everything, there were moments when I saw you as more than a tool. You were stronger than me. Live the life we stole. Be better than we were. V. I read it twice, then burned it. Some things didn't deserve to be kept. 1 year later, Christmas Eve again, I sat in Sarah and David's living room watching snow fall. Real family. Real love. My phone buzzed. A message from Detective Chen. Your restitution came through. Full amount plus interest. It's over, Callan. You won. I looked around at the laughter, the warmth. The number in my account didn't matter. I'd already won. Sarah handed me a small gift. Inside, a photo frame, me as a baby, me now, and in between, a quote. Family isn't always blood. It's the people who choose you. Thank you, I whispered. Always, she said. Later, Emma joined me on the porch. You okay?
Yeah.
Just amazed how different this year is. Different good. Different perfect. She smiled. Mom's planning a huge Christmas next year. Make up for lost time. I'd like that. Snow drifted softly. Home finally felt like home. Then my phone buzzed again, an unknown email. Subject: You deserve to know the whole truth. Inside, a scanned document, an adoption contract dated before I was born. Attached, a handwritten note in Helena's looping script. This child will be our retirement plan. We'll raise him just well enough to be useful, but never enough to question us. By the time he figures it out, we'll have taken all we need. They'd planned it before I ever existed. I deleted the email, blocked the sender. Some ghosts don't deserve resurrection. What was that? Emma asked. Nothing important, I said. Just the past trying to claw its way back. She smiled. Come on. Mom made hot chocolate, and I followed her inside, to warmth, laughter, and love. The boy the Mercers made into a tool was gone. And for the first time, I wasn't invisible anymore. If this story moved you, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another story of strength and redemption. Share your thoughts below. Your story might inspire someone else to choose freedom, too. Remember, blood doesn't make a family. Love does. Stay strong, stay true, and never let anyone make you feel invisible again.